Hello ladies and gentlemen, it is Comely here, and we are back for game 2 of this kind of Genesis in-house fun, awesome games. Today with me once again is Hatch. Hatch, how you doing?
I am doing well. This is game 2. We've got a lot of good players in this game as well as we did last game. Last game turned out to be really interesting. A very competitive match, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Just in case people didn't catch the first game, do you just want to kind of introduce what you are and kind of what we're doing here in this Genesis in-house game?
Absolutely. My name's John Hatch. I am starting up a team, and I've got some sponsorships. And the team is called Genesis. Genesis Gaming. We've got a Facebook website up. We're going to have a real website up, and these are probably going to be some of the players. There's a large skill discrepancy in this game. There's going to be a few players that you might go, wow, that guy's not going to be able to compete at that level. And then there's going to be some guys that you go, wow, I wish I could do what he does, because obviously his girlfriend is impressed with his Han ability. Those players might be Eclipse. They might be Grace. I put them as captains for a reason. We'll see if they can pull it off. I'm going to be selecting the best players from some of these games and actually evaluating people for the next few weeks and pulling together a team that hopefully in a few weeks, months, and hopefully not years can compete in the high-level tournaments such as NASL, MLG, DreamHack, etc.
Such a great project. Really excited to be here and cast some of these games with you. The first game was really exciting for those of you that missed it. Definitely go back and check it out. It was a fantastic game. We're seeing a few of the similar players, but also a few new blood here as well. And so why don't we get into who's playing what real quick. We do have Eclipse here on this Parasite up top in the jungle, which is going to be very interesting to see. I want to see how Parasite works out in this kind of competitive level game. We have a Cursed on bottom being played by Hong Kong Beep Beep. We have Hotorus playing on Hammerstorm on bottom as well. We have Doom Driver here mid playing that Witch Slayer. Really like the Witch Slayer mid pickup. And then we have Deke here on the top solo, kind of Corrupted Disciple. Kind of interested to see how he manages to go up against the tri-lane. You know, Corrupted Disciple, not the best kind of anti-tri-lane hero. He's definitely not a Valkyrie. Over on the other team, we have Grace playing on Wretched Hag. We have I'm JP playing on Hellbringer. We have X Cry of X, who gets the official Comely Award for most internet or AOL Instant Messenger like name in the game. We also have Yoser up there on the Zephyr, and Purple Haze picking up the end on the Glacius, which is one of my very favorite support heroes. So definitely really interesting picks this game. I'm definitely interested to see how things like, you know, the Zephyr tri-lane work out, as well as the Parasite pickup. Do you just have any thoughts about the initial kind of pickups on the team, the matchup between the Hellborne and the Legion team?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, Corrupted Disciple has gone on a trek. I feel like he's playing World of Warcraft and traveling to Stranglethorn Vale. He has walked from top to bottom, and that's a long trek, but it's actually a smart move in this high-level play because he wasn't going to do anything top. So it looks like they've got a tri-lane bottom, one mid, and what happened to Parasite in the forest, I don't know. But that is a very interesting switcheroo that the Legion has pulled. I think it's smart, too, because it's essentially doing this tri-lane. Yeah, they're getting farmed top, but there's 3 of them sitting up there kind of doing nothing. And it helps mid with Parasite there in the Witch Slayer Hag battle.
Yeah, you know, it definitely seems like the Legion team is just forsaking the top lane at this point. We saw Parasite was actually hiding inside of a Vagabond, which actually hides his icon on the minimap, becomes a little tiny green dot. Pretty easy to miss there. But yeah, he's just kind of...
It's interesting. The Parasite, I haven't seen him in a pro game before. I don't know if you have, but it's interesting to see him because it's like there's one guy not on the Legion team right now. And it'll be interesting to see how Parasite plays in this high-level play. I haven't seen it happen before. If you have, please shed some light. If you haven't, I'm interested to see how this game goes.
Yeah, you know, not only have I not seen Parasite in a high-level game, I don't think I've seen Parasite played well in any game. So I'm definitely interested. I think he's pulling something like a 38% win rate right now in the overall hero stats. So if he, I'm going to be really impressed if he pulls this off. To be perfectly frank,
that is, I'm a statistician basically, and that's horrible because I've checked on heroes before,
yeah.
And the highest you ever see is like 58. The lowest you see is like 42. We got to fight bottom.
Yeah, Hammerstorm. Oh, Hammerstorm just barely getting away. You know, you almost want to see Magnus just being like, "What's up? I know where you are." But of course, we have perfect vision, and so we're allowed to say things like that are actually pretty absurd for him to actually know.
Why didn't he stun? He was right there.
But we actually didn't see the Legion team's creep camp blocked whatsoever, which is allowing them to do points. But you can also see it's a really nice point of contention here for the Hellborne team. They're able to contest that pull. They're able to make a curse feel really uncomfortable. And, so it's kind of a layer thing. We do see, Magnus going for the stun onto the Corrupted Disciple, but the cursed shield and heal up is going to do quite a bit to go ahead and keep him in the game.
I love Accursed. I think he's amazing in a lot of high-level competitive games too, because people pick a lot of heroes that are support and don't have a lot of hit points. And Accursed is so deceiving. He's like Axe back in Dota, where his health bar was too small, so you didn't know how hurt he actually was. That's what Accursed does for your other players. He makes it deceiving, and so you end up going for heroes that you can't quite kill because of Accursed. So that deceptive nature may come into play in those team fights that will be coming. We got Parasite coming up here on Glacius. And we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, I really like that he gets that Minotaur stun early. It's going to let Corrupted Disciple do just a ton of damage, and they are going to be able to get the kill. You saw Parasite jump out of the creep and just instantly use his first skill, the kind of movement slow and movement steal, I should say. Really nice combination there. I'm really happy that he was able to get in range with that Minotaur to actually get the stun on Glacius. That's some really nice, kind of fine-tuned Parasite play.
Yeah. Nice play by Parasite there. Although, on the other hand, no one should ever get stunned by a Minotaur, right? But I mean, it's interesting to see Parasite do what he's doing this game. I think if you throw something like this in a high level game, the other team will not know exactly what to do. And just putting a team on edge like that can really mess with them. Obviously, it might not work. I'm not sure if Parasite's viable, but it's kind of throwing him for a loop at bottom.
Yeah, but this is absolutely the kind of stuff that I like doing. I like experimenting. I like trying new things. You do see the Minotaur is walking around with 370 move speed, which is not insignificant compared to something like, what is Glacius? Glacius only has 290 at this point, so that's actually a pretty big difference. He's going to be able to really kind of close that distance and get it off when he needs to, and that's probably the reason we saw him able to get a kill onto that Glacius bottom.
You're absolutely right about that. I take it back. I forget about Parasite. I've only played a few games against him, and I think Minotaurs can't catch people when they're controlled by Ophelia, but it's different when they have a giant speed buff. And here we're going to see him get a Minotaur again, and we'll see what he can do with it in the next few minutes.
Yeah, Glacius in a little bit of a dangerous position here by the Tablet of Haste. I expect him to just go ahead and pick it up here, and that will let him get away. Actually, it's going to let him trap the Minotaur if he wants to. There's no reason not to get the debuffs onto that Minotaur, because they do transition to Parasite when that Minotaur actually dies. But we do see him getting the stun here. He does have the Accursed shield on him. This is the most adorable hero ever. You can actually see that the Minotaur's health is still dropping despite being on there. And
look at that! Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah, it worked like a charm.
That is awesome. I mean, Orange didn't come up as Corrupted Disciple from bottom, but a Minotaur with a shield on it, I mean, there's no reason you ever want to attack that. And not only will you take extra damage from the shield blowing up from Accursed, but you're also not going to do any damage even if you kill the Minotaur. So it's kind of just like having a giant nuisance hanging around you that can stun. I mean, that's good.
Yeah, I really like that. I kind of always had the assumption that the health regen, or the health degradation, I should say, whatever kind of word that actually is a word, of the creeps was too much early game, but he's really able to actually get to the fights where he needs to get. And once again, you see him just chasing down this Glacius. It does look like he's going to be in a little bit of a dangerous position here once the creep does die, but again, the shield goes on him, it keeps it up for a little bit longer, and Corrupted Disciple does go down to the Magnus. Very dangerous going this far beyond the tower.
They're deep. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking. It's a game about mistakes. I said this the other day, and they felt it. It was cool getting there, and almost. It might lose 2 out of this. It depends on if Parasite can get away. There's a lot of pinging going on. I don't know. He's going to need to find a creep, and there aren't any creeps there. So he's going to die. They're going to go a 2-0 for that, and that's one of those times where it's a mistake. There's no reason to go past that tower, especially into that second tower. They're too close together. And by the way, earlier, the word you were looking for, I think, was deterioration? Yeah,
let's go with that, because that makes me sound like I actually had something I was working towards, and I like that. But, I really kind of like seeing this Parasite play, because even though he overextended, this is saying, okay, here's a new hero, let's see what we can do with it, and really trying things, because I think that if you take the play so far, which has been really, really strong, and you refined it more, it would be really actually, consistently viable if you're able to catch people off guard with it.
I completely agree with you. And the thing about we got him going after Zephyr at top. Zephyr's not a guy you want to chase, and we'll see if it pays off here. I'm gonna come. There it is. They get him. It is. But the thing about Parasite is that you're saying is, yeah, you refine it. It's kind of like a StarCraft build order. It's one of those things that work. If it starts to work in theory, no one's doing it. I mean, this might be the thing that you see in 3 months, everybody doing. I mean, that kind of happened with Plague Rider recently in the pro gaming league. Everybody's like, oh, well, actually, he denies all the experience to people, so let's just take the experience from creeps. I mean, aside from obviously his ult and the armor and all the other things he does. One person starts doing it, and then everybody else goes, hey, that's a good idea. I can do that too. But this is the type of game where you get to see some experimentation at a high level of play.
Yeah, the biggest example that sticks out for me in my head of kind of a good example of this is, and I apologize because I don't remember the player who was doing it because I'm awful with names, but they were playing Balfagor, and they won like 2 competitive matches with Balfagor, and then he was like instantly nerfed because everybody started playing the Balfagor the style he played, a hero that nobody really suspected or thought was interesting or intimidating, and suddenly everybody was annihilating with him. We do see a kill here on Wretched Hag by Witch Slayer. You know, Witch Slayer is one of those heroes that can get those fairly early kills on Wretched Hag. Not a ton of heroes that can actually do that, but you know, that combination with that ultimate is just really, really strong damage on somebody so low HP.
Yeah, I didn't actually see what happened there. What did I miss? Did he ult him?
He did use his ultimate, I know, because it was on cooldown. I didn't actually catch it, but, you know, ideally, if you do something like you catch Wretched Hag in a stun she doesn't expect, or you get a really great miniaturize with good position, you just chain your spells together and Wretched Hag just drops like a rock.
She doesn't have the hit points. That's absolutely right. The reason I was confused because Grace opted for a pause right before that, so I thought he might have gone AFK, but it appears that he is there. So who knows what happened? It's a mystery, and that's such is on competitive gameplay. We have Parasite at mid now, and the levels across the board are kind of interesting. Accursed is feeling the wrath of supporting at level 3 and lowest in the game, but the majority of the players on both teams are around 6-ish, even though nobody in the game is actually 6. Oh, Corrupted Disciple is. But that would be your average.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, one of the things you talked about last game was, oh, actually, we're going to have some action here in the bottom forest. Let's take a look at that real quick. You know, see Wretched Hag and Magnus both getting stunned, and Wretched Hag using her ultimate here. Now, that means they're fairly committed to trying to get a kill on Witch Slayer, but, you know, they're just not going to be able to do it with a curse here. And will the Legion team actually be able to get a counter kill here? You know, Hellborne are in a very dangerous position right now, but Magnus doing a very nice defensive stun for him. Oh, he just barely manages to get away with, like, something like 15 HP. And Magnus doing the disjoint, but it's not enough with that Corrupted Conduit. He's going to, actually, not Corrupted Conduit, what is it called? Electric Tide manages to get the kill.
That is one thing I'm horrible with, is the name of spells. So forgive me, I just call it the Nova that comes out from Corrupted Disciple.
I like to make the most inaccurate and long names possible for spells. Like the Red Wave of Death would be a good one for that one, I think.
That is pretty solid.
Yeah.
The game's going pretty evenly here. We got a 6-4 game, and experience and gold is pretty even across the teams as you look at a whole. It looks like Hellborne has an advantage in gold, I'd almost say, but they're losing in kills as far as hero kills, which is interesting. I mean, that goes to the point of some of our lower level viewers, is that, you know, the kill death score at the top of your screen doesn't always mean you're winning. It's deceptive at times. The gold score and the experience score are more important generally.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a combination of looking at the kill death, looking at the golden experience, looking at the map position. Han's a very interesting game to kind of figure out your position within the actual game, just because there are so many variables within it. And one of the things I wanted to bring up earlier was, you know, this Parasite is doing something that we talked about last game, which is intimidation. If they don't see Parasite on the map, they are always going to be worried because they don't know what is going to fly out of where at them. And that makes you very uneasy as a player to see something like that happen. And so I like that aspect of Parasite as well.
Absolutely. I mean, he's kind of making this an interesting game, and again, that's one of the nice things about not having this at that extreme level, is because maybe Parasite isn't an option at that level, but he definitely throws a loop in the game, and he makes it interesting because you don't see a hero like that, and he is dynamic in that he does things that other heroes don't do, and it's really obnoxious to play against if you're not familiar with him. and most people aren't as familiar with him as they are with many of the other characters in the game.
Oh, certainly, especially those that have been around since Dota. They've been around forever, Glacius, the Crystal Maiden, all that fun stuff. We've just seen their play be really, really refined just because people have been playing it so long. But when you see something like Parasite or Silhouette, it's really exciting to watch players like No Tail and Silhouette when he first started and really get that portal key thing going. It was just so exciting to watch like a hero actually develop before our eyes, and that's really part of the fun of these new heroes. Although I think some of them could probably be, simplified a little bit. Oh, a lot of action here down the bottom.
Absolutely.
Oh, we're just seeing ultimates fly left and right. It looks like the Hellborne team is going to manage to come out ahead of this. Question now is how far ahead are they going to manage to come? It looks like Corrupted Disciple is going to get nuked down as well. Parasite in a little bit of a bad spot. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get away. He's jumping into a catapult, going to try to use that for the magic immunity to get away. If Magnus is able to kind of stay on his trail, he might be able to get a stun, but it does look like Parasite is going to make a very adorable and dangerous escape.
I just want to point out some excellent casting on the magic immunity on the catapult knowledge. Good call on that. I mean, that's not something, I don't know if he thought about that, but he is pretending like he is immune to anything right now in that little adorable toy car. He is, was that a Matchbox car? I think that's what they're called.
Yeah, those are little adorable collectible cards. I want them to buff Parasite now just so I can watch this more often.
Well, I know. A lot of ports in. Let's see if they can make something out of this. And it looks like they're gonna. This is one of those times Hellborne should have left. And they're feeling it. They're feeling it hard.
Yeah, they turned
a 3-0 for nothing.
Yeah, big advantage.
Almost a deny. Almost a deny. You have to, if you're playing at a high level, you have to be aware of the tower. And people, you so often want to force something to happen. And if you just leave that tower, it'll have 400 hit points. But now it has 156. At worst case scenario, it has 100, and they can deny it, and they get 3 kills because you're greedy and you want to make something happen. And at the high level of play, you can't force things to happen.
Yeah, I have to steal a StarCraft term. It's one of my favorite phrases, which is when you're ahead, just get more ahead. Don't feel like you have to make something really huge happen just because you took an advantage. Just take the advantage, do what you can with it, and slowly convert that into winning the game.
Yeah, we make a lot of poker references, it seems like, and I'm totally with you on this. We have another thing at bottom, and it's similar in that they do respawn. You do realize that heroes respawn in Han, and oh man, Accursed. He needs to hit 6 right now. Nope.
Just barely. Very nice. You see the coordination of the Hellborne team is like dead on. They had Magnus go, and he took care of the Corrupted Disciple, and that was enough. And the rest of the team kind of chased the bulk of the units. Really good coordination. They're not overkilling the heroes. They are going to dive on that Hellborne and just get the job done. And now they're going to be able to capitalize on the tower, which ended up working quite well for them in the long term.
It's funny because I emphasized the mistake that the Hellborne made, and then the Legion did the same thing to a bigger degree. And I was going to say Parasite should port in, and right as he did, Eclipse knows that, he ports in, but it didn't matter. It was too late. They didn't have any hit points, and Hellborne comes back with hit points, and I mean, that's a devastating damage that they just took. Ouch.
Yeah, and one of the problems that I feel with Parasite, right, like it feels like he was really effective when the teams were spread out, but now that the teams are really condensing, he just doesn't have that same presence whatsoever. Very, very much a single target, single purpose kind of hero. He wants to gank, he wants to move, he wants to keep things kind of on their toes and all that fun stuff. And he can't do that if the Hellborne team just really kind of clumps up and does those big pushes, those big counter ganks, and all that fun stuff. It becomes really difficult for him.
So who would you give the advantage to in this situation? I mean, this is an interesting game, and we got another 10-10 game. Apparently Hatch, oh wait, that's me, is really good at dividing up these people based off the statistics. I mean, that's what I did, and so far these games have proved to be pretty interesting. Yeah,
both good at matching up teams and modest. What a wonderful combination we have there. But I really feel like just going on my gut, right? I feel like the Hellborne team is ahead at this point. I feel like they have the momentum. You know, they can really kind of work towards whatever core items they want. Magnus is in a position now where he's going to be able to kind of move around and farm a little bit. The rest of the Hellborne team is kind of staying together, and he's doing a good job of being there when he needs to, but now we're seeing him doing a little bit of movement. And if the Legion team isn't able to do something to change that pace, I don't think a semi-farmed Corrupted Disciple is going to be enough in the mid-game to really kind of push them through into a victory when you have things like the Zephyr and the Hag getting really big during that phase as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And if you look at the gold per minute, Corrupted Disciples at 175, Zephyr's at 407. I mean, that's double. And, you know, that's one of those things. When you say a team has to do something to change the game, that's really bad at a high level. Because at a high level, you shouldn't have to force things. And when you have to force things, it's bad. I mean, that's pretty much the bottom line, because you're going to go into a position in a fight that you don't want to be in, and that devastates you against good players, because they'll back up and you won't quite kill them, and then you'll bitch about how they were almost dead.
Yeah, we do have some potential here. We did see a lot of ports in by the Legion team, and they are going to be able to get a pick off on Wretched Hag. This could be the opportunity they're looking for if they manage to all stay up and they're managed to pick off one or two more heroes. It could be absolutely game-changing. We do see this done on the Hammerstorm. You see right here, they're getting kills for essentially free. We do finally see a curse go down, but if that is all, that is a really big leap for the Legion team, and it does look like they're going to be able to get away. That's exactly the kind of thing they were looking for.
That was absolutely awesome. That's why you always carry a port at this level of play. You always have a port on you, and everybody ports in together, and bam, they get 3 for 1. That's what they needed.
Yeah, we do also, I didn't point this out at any point, but we do have a portal key on Witch Slayer that's really going to help with the position in the team fights. It's really going to help him lock down the Wretched Hag, especially, I'm not sure, I could check in just a second here what Wretched Hag is going for. We're not sure. If she does go for something like a Nullstone, even Witch Slayer can counter that pretty quickly with its mana drain and really try to get the lockdown on Wretched Hag as soon as she uses her blink. So that's kind of an interesting little suck game.
She's going to go for Nullstone. I'm going to have to... She's going to go for Nelson. She's got 1,700 gold right now. That would be my guess. I mean, the way she's building. And it's a smart build. But the portal key on Witch Slayer, like you said, that's critical. I mean, you have to get it on him. Otherwise, he is kind of gumpy. I'm not going to lie. You'll see him coming, and he's got the portal key. He's going for Glacius. He's trying to do it all himself. Does he have his ult? He does, and Glacius gets dead.
Yeah, just that quickly. You know, that's always the most depressing part of playing those support heroes, is when you die.
Know it's coming.
Yeah, you're dead. It's very depressing. We do see a Codex picked up on Parasite. You know, he has that buff that gives it to do more damage. It's only level 1 right now, so he's doing 6% more damage with that Codex, but it eventually gets up to 24%, I do believe, which is not an insignificant buff to Codex, but again, you know, not an item we see a ton.
No, you don't see Codex a lot in competitive play. What was the buff that you just said? What happened to it? I don't read patch notes enough. Here we go.
Okay, Parasite, his third ability, what it does is when he attacks somebody, they do 24% less damage to him, and everything that he does 24% more damage to you, and that includes Codex. So it's you know, it's an interesting pickup. He is going to try to go ahead and go onto that Wretched Hag.
See it.
It's going to be close. Oh, just barely managed to get it off.
I was about to yell at Accursed for not nuking the damage there, but it works out because Witch Slayer comes to save. Because Hag probably could have ported if Witch Slayer wasn't there, and the nuke from Accursed would have killed Hag. So, I mean, not necessary time to heal, but works out for the best anyway for the Legion.
Yeah, it definitely works out. They do manage to get the kill on Wretched Hag, and Wretched Hag is very much a hero that you want to kill in this phase of the game. You don't want her to be around. You don't want her to slowly build toward those items. You know, she's 5 and 4, which is a little bit unfortunate. You know, you want to die very, very rarely on Wretched Hag. She's one of those kind of heroes like Behemoth that really, really hate dying early game.
I completely agree. And she's got 1 assist, which is... That's not good. I mean, that her money is not going to be great, and Hag is a really good hero in my opinion. Nice gank from Parasite. He's thrown a curveball this game. I mean, you got Codex on Parasite. Who plans for that? I don't.
It's certainly not something I would have practiced against. A little bit of a blind nuke there, trying to catch the Magnus while he was still invisible from the steam bath. Of course, that does give you a little bit of a residual invisibility when you break it. But, you know, we're seeing a really hard time here for this Glacius trying to move around a ward. He's going to have to deal with that Witch Slayer with the portal key. He's going to have to deal with that Parasite being a little sneaky snake. And it's going to be really difficult for him to move around at all.
having a player that can play a support like Glacius well is so important because it's such a thankless job. It's like, hey, you're gonna die, you're not gonna get a lot of money, and try and make. It's like giving someone $1 and saying buy as much as you can possibly buy with this dollar, and then that Glacius pretty much has to go to the dollar menu and get a few things for $1, which is impossible. I hate doing that. It's not very fun, but hey, someone's got to do it. Purple Haze has sucked up and done it, and he's done it pretty well the last 2 games. He's played pretty well support. He's died a lot, but you know that's what somebody has to do.
Yeah, I think the difference between a good support and a great support is a lot bigger than most people think. A lot of people feel like, you know what, I play a good support, I play a 1650 level support, but really the difference between that and a 1750 support is like leaps and bounds, and it's absolutely huge. And I'm actually looking to do something like, I'm probably going to do a Fuji Apples video pretty soon here. We just see a little bit of initiation here by the Legion team that are going to go straight in, and you just see him absolutely get dissolved on that Hellbringer. Magnus ulting, and he is going to manage to catch the Hellbringer, the Hammerstorm with it, and get the kill there. Oh, Zephyr just barely dying. A lot of action here in this team fight, Hatch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it looks like it's hard to say what's going to happen here, but it's not good for the Hellborne. That's the bottom line. Eclipse, again with that Parasite, he immediately kills someone at the beginning of a fight, and that is a 4-on-5. Yeah, he's got 1 or 2 spells off cooldown, one's a Codex, but I mean, that's devastating to start a fight 4-on-5 and slightly, and I mean really slightly out of position. The Hellborne they were not ready. That would be the better way to describe it. Normally I say out of position. This time they weren't really ready for that blink, zap, boom, someone's dead, and now we've got a 4-on-5. And it hurts. I mean, you got a 4-2 for that, and they might get a tower out of it, which is another 300, well, 200 gold for 5 people.
Yeah, I mean, just the lack of the Hellborne, the Hellbringer ult was really devastating for the Hellborne team there. You know, that's really their counter initiation spell, and so if he's the one that gets picked off, it's particularly painful.
Yeah, that's a very good point you bring up.
Oh, Hedge just barely catching Witch Slayer with her ultimate, but they are going to go back on her. This Parasite diving a little bit too far. He is going to get taken out, and dove just a little bit too far for it. Magnus will manage to get the pick off there on the Witch Slayer, though, getting a little bit of revenge. Oh, Parasite!
Oh, that tick is going to be so annoying for him, because he's got the portal key, and he can't... Oh, see, that's smart play right there. It didn't do anything, but you got to try and do all the damage you can before you die. Another interesting fight there. Absolutely. I mean, that was some good stuff. This is a good game. It's a good game.
It's a very exciting. These are the kind of games that I like watching. These are the kind of games that I like casting, where we're seeing new dynamics. We're seeing teams that initiate very confidently. You know, when they initiate, they initiate. We saw that in the mid when we saw the Parasite pick off the Hellbringer really quickly. The team initiated very confidently. You could tell that there was some communication there, and they were doing a very good job of just playing with that kind of that cadence that kept the other team off guard.
There's a point you mentioned about the ults, and as far as Hellbringer's ult, and like I think of the best example of the point I'm about to make is Thunderbringer. So if you're Thunderbringer and you ult to get kills, you're not a good player, because you want to ult the instant a team fight begins. You ult once one team is committed or ported in or portal keyed on your team. You ult, because then all of a sudden you do the maximum damage. If you ult to get kills, you're not going to get all the damage out of your ult. If one guy's already dead, that's another 300 damage that's not going to be done by your ult, and it lets your good team look at the people's life on the other team, which is lower, and make better decisions. So it's the type of ult that you want to do early and often, and a lot of people save ults to get kills, and that is generally a bad idea. Hellbringer's ult's another good example.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like those big long cooldown ults. You really want to use them just to get your team that advantage that they need to really carry the rest of the fight forward. And you know, Hellbringer does so much damage with his dot and his life void, increasing the magic damage, that you know it's okay to really just put out a lot of spread damage and force the other team to commit to the team fight, or else they're going to be in horrible position to try to run away.
Hellbringer is... Ooh, let's see if Parasite can get him. Hellbringer is one of those heroes. He is deceivingly great. I think he's one of the best heroes in the game. Everything about him is... He's just got good stats to begin with, which is something you don't generally think about. He's got low cooldowns in some cases, maybe not his ult, but on some other spells. In a Hellbringer fight, he's got a lot of hit points. He's going to go through all of his spells probably twice. Most heroes won't. Let's see if they can get Glacius here. They're chasing, and they might chase too far.
Yeah, it does look like they're going to choose to pull back and just kind of arc down into the middle lane. Good decision by the Legion team. They're not kind of over pushing it. You know, the Hellborne team is ahead by about 4,100 gold at this point, which is a not insignificant amount at this point in the game. But the bigger problem to me is that a lot of the Legion farm is really focused. We do see Parasite get picked off there by the entirety of the Hellborne team. That's a little bit questionable positioning that he wasn't with the rest of his team. But as I was saying, a lot of the farm is on him. You know, he's the highest gold farm on his team. He's sitting at 304 GPM, but I'm not sure what Parasite can do with that farm. I think even if he was at 450 gold per minute. Yeah.
I totally agree with you, and the thing is that it's weird because it's 21-16, Legion's favor, but if you look at the gold, they're not winning. And actually, they're losing kind of significantly in gold per minute. And that's important. And also, as your point is I mean, what can Parasite do with money? I don't know. Maybe there's something we haven't seen, but Codex generally isn't a good idea for, you know, 35-plus minutes into the game. Things start to change.
Yeah, and then we do see the Corrupted Disciple get picked off. You know, the two heroes that they really don't want to die at this point. The Hellborne team is doing a really good job locking out. We do see the Portal Key picked up on Magnus. We do also see the Axe and Malphite, I thought that was noted him for a second, on the Zephyr. He's going to be super tanky pretty soon. Probably, I imagine, going for a Behemoth start. Probably not a Satanic.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you.
Call me crazy.
I like that he's got the what's it called, Mystic Vestments, and he doesn't have the full part of that. I mean, the money cost and the difference. If you don't need the life regen, it's probably not that great. And it looks, well, Parasite. Okay, was that not real? Whoa, I got thrown for a loop there. He deceives me. He's a tricky little bastard.
He really wanted that catapult. It was looking really sexy to him, so he went over. He kind of hit on it and just jumped right in. Maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but.
I got so nervous, but he's magic immune now. I learned that earlier in this cast.
One of the more handy features of that particular creep is the magic immunity. It also does, you know, it does a fair amount of damage.
Absolutely. We've got a standoff here at the top tower, obviously, and well, one's porting back, so that means the Hellborne will all retreat because you don't want to start a 4-on-5 in a tower. I have to feel like Hellborne has. I think we might feel this game change very suddenly in the near future. I think it's deceiving how well the Legion is holding up, and I might be wrong. I mean, these are some good players, so they might trick me again. But I expect a quick shift to Hellborne in the next 10 minutes of play.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the question is, just like we talked about last game, how does the Hellborne team say, okay, we have a lead, we have a significant lead, we want to transition this into winning the game. So how do we force the Legion team to make a bad decision against us? Because the Legion team could just sit there and turtle, and this game could last for like 30 minutes, right? If the Legion team really wanted to do that. But as the Hellborne team, you really have to kind of force them to come out of the box. You do that with tower pushes, you do that with split pushes, you do that with Kongor, you do that with ganks, and it's going to be interesting to see which method the Hellborne team chooses to kind of close up this game and really use their advantage. Oh,
we talked about it earlier, and I mean, there's nothing against Glacius in this. It's just tough. I mean, it's a hard job. Someone's got to do it, and that's the support role. And especially with this crazy Parasite blinking, nuking, codexing. I guess he doesn't blink, but he's still sneaky. And he's Apps Glacius. Another death for Glacius. That's his 8th of the game. And Eclipse has 8 kills on Parasite and a lot of gold per minute, but it's still not going to compare to Zephyr. And he is at 460 gold per minute, and that's going to be a problem. Has he finished the heart? He hasn't yet, but when that happens, it's an issue.
Yeah, it does look like we're going to see Parasite get picked off here. You know, he really just has no way of getting away. The Hammerstone comes in, not going to be enough, and they should be able to close it out with that Hag Blink right there. And so now this is a good opportunity. They have a full minute to decide what they want to do. And they have a lot of options open to them. They could certainly just do this Kongor, and it looks like that is going to be the choice that they're going to go for. This could be a very important token for letting the Hellborne team really push up and kill a tower. And then once you kill the tower, the base is much, much, much more vulnerable in the future.
Absolutely. I feel like Parasite got caught. I would say out of position. He was out of position, but it was more that I felt like he was trying to do everything by himself.
Yeah.
And his team kind of watched him die, and that was the smart choice because he was out of position. But and you got to watch him die. But this Kongor they can't really let this happen. And again, I am pretty sure I just called this 2 minutes ago. This is going to be a problem. Did Zephyr get it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big... I mean, that's pretty much... You got to try and avoid him and his Mock of Brilliance and the damage that comes with that. And you can't kill him. And even if you kill him, you got to kill him again. And so try and avoid him while he chases you and beats you down. That's going to be the name of the game.
Yeah, he does have his Behemoth's Heart as well. So likely what we're going to see is them use this token to really try and kill a tower. So what you do is you put Zephyr way ahead, you really just let him wail on the tower. The rest of the team stays back and just kind of relaxes while he does the damage to that. You force the Legion team to kind of try and react to it, and if you manage to get the tower in that kind of time frame that you have, it really lets you push up into the base like so much more easily than I can describe to you. The transition between not having a tower and having a tower in those in-base racks is a phenomenal difference.
Yeah, it's a big difference, and it's one of those things in a game like this that's quite close. I mean, a tower is going to make a big difference, and they have all their towers up, so that might, if the Hellborne makes a mistake over chasing anybody but Zephyr, and he probably will overchase, which might be okay in his case. But if the other characters overchase, it's going to be devastating, and the Legion might be able to pull back into this.
Yeah, it does look like we're going to see some action here.
Out of position.
Yeah, they are going to try to go on him, but you see his health is just not going down whatsoever. This is going to end up being really bad for the Legion team. I can already feel it. You see a Curse is absolutely getting dissolved. Yes. Ton of damage. Pretty nice ultimate there by Magnus. You know, the Shrunken Head is up on Corrupted Disciple, but it's still enough to take out Hammerstorm, and this is going to be the opportunity the Hellborne team needs. After this fight, Hellbringer does go down, but that's not really that significant for the team. You know, he kind of already did his job, and they are going to go ahead and... Ooh, very nice ultimate there by Witchslayer just at the last second. And let's see if Parasite can try to make it the great escape.
That was a pro move by Witchslayer. I mean, that's the thing I was talking about earlier. You're going down, throw it out there. And he does. And he gets a kill. And even so, as I said before, it does look grim for them. But that a 4 instead of 5 is helpful, especially when you have people starting to come back already. But they're gonna do a lot of damage here. And it's definitely tipping in Hellborne's favor now, clearly.
Yeah, you know, a 16,000 experience lead and a 15,000 gold lead is not really something at this point that I think positioning is going to overcome. You know, you can use that to increase what you already have, but when you're that far behind, again, something like a Zephyr with all those items, you're just not going to be able to kill him, even if you use everything. And then if you use everything, his team is just going to completely wail on you anyway.
Yeah, they're good, and I mean, you're pointing out that's a giant amount of discrepancy in resources, as you call them, between experience and gold. Mm-hmm. But I do want to point out to our not-so-good players, it's 24-23 Legion's lead, which is so deceptive, because they are not winning this game right now.
Yeah, if you look at team creep kills, we see 100 more creep kills for the Hellborne team. You know, it's a pretty significant difference. But Magnus is going to get picked off here. I'm not sure why he chose to hang around and kind of get picked off there. But they did manage to get that tower in the bottom racks area. That's really what they were looking to use that token for. And they managed to do it without using it. So, you know, they still have about 3.5 minutes where they'll have that safety net around.
Yeah, absolutely. Magnus blames it on the television, says he's watching television, which is never a good idea in a competitive match, but apparently he doesn't find it challenging enough for him, and he feels the wrath of a death from that.
I mean, look, when I'm watching Gossip Girls, I don't give a fuck what's going on in the game. I need to watch my Gossip Girls.
Yes, I agree, I think, but I actually don't watch Gossip Girls. I am sorry. I do watch other shows, not Gossip Girls.
I've never seen it, but I imagine.
Chopped on the Food Network recently.
Oh, I like the host of that. You know, he finally got a show that he's pretty good at hosting.
I agree with you on that.
This cast is now about Food Network shows.
Right, here we are in that lull. That was a commercial break for the Food Network, one of our sponsors for today. And Witchslayer is going to punish Glacius. Oh god. He had 70, I'll be realistic, 60+% life, and that all got rid of all of it. He doesn't have enough life, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, level 3 ult, pretty good. But we did see that's a really interesting ward that he countered there between those two trees. Ward spot I haven't really used just because, you know, the fundamental map changes since they implemented that. I haven't really experimented with support too much, but definitely a really interesting ward there. We did see another pick off. Looks like Hammerstorm got picked off. And Parasite in a little bit of danger here, but the Hellborne team is going to go ahead and let him slide. Hopefully they just kind of back off and regroup. Zephyr going the dangerous way, but that's okay because he has damn near 3,000 life and a token of life still.
He can afford it, absolutely. They really just need to get all together and push. I mean, that's the bottom line here. They need to get all together and push, and if they do that, it will be devastating.
Yeah, we see that the Hellborne team has 2 puzzle boxes, both level 1 at this point. We'll have to see if they run into any kind of shop issues with that. I can't actually check the recipe count at this point. I believe they should have had 5 or maybe 4 at this point. But in any case, they haven't used them all, so they're okay. Going for the double puzzle box build.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks to be a... we're going to hopefully see the push here. Brown's going to need to get down from mid. And Zephyr is pushing himself. He's letting his presence be known. He pretends like Legion base is his, and he really can afford to. We got a fight going. Lots gonna be happening.
Oh yeah, tons of action here. We see the Hellbringer come ult, the Hellbringer ultimate come out, and just a lot of action here. Corrupt Disciple is doing a ton of damage to the entire team. Nobody has even died yet on either team, but the Legion team is extraordinarily low. Very nice ultimate by Magnus. It's going to come in and clean up a lot of players. We see Witch Slayer is trying to run away with just a little bit of health and manages the portal key into the fountain. Very nice team fight there by the Hellborne team. They didn't lose anybody. Did they even use the token on Zephyr? No, they did not. It only has 27 seconds left on it. They're probably just going to go ahead and let that fade. And they do get another pick off on Parasite, and this is probably going to be the GG well played. We do see a GG come out offensively from Magnus.
It appears to be coming out already, and I mean Zephyr's presence. What does he have? 12 seconds left to protect. I mean, he can go in the fountain and play around if he wants. He might take a dip, wash off some of his feathers. The game's pretty much over, and he had pretty much that same ability in the beginning of this fight. He had no fear of death. He's so beefy, you can't do anything to him. He lost the Aegis now, or the token, for us Han players, but the bottom line is and look at him. I mean, they're not doing anything to him. He's not dying. Yeah,
he stood there so that he could pick up his Frostwolf skull, and then he just ran out as soon as he had it. Just a little bit of snubbing his nose at the other team.
Yeah, they should honestly finish this at this point. I mean, well, Magnus has a right to go back, but the other 3, it's a 3-on-3 and a tower. In a very competitive game, I would say go back. I mean, that would be the correct move to go, and I mean, you'll have another 5-on-5. But, I mean, in this situation, it's pretty much the Grim Reaper for the Legion here. Yeah, I mean, that's about it. And I want to emphasize the point of Parasite here on blue. Eclipse is a great player, and he showed some interesting promise in this game as Parasite, but I actually got a whisper from him a little bit ago saying he was kind of on a bet and he was trying to prove something, and he, I think, lost the bet because Parasite, I wouldn't say is a viable hero at this level of play. I mean, he did some really, I think he actually played great as him, but when you play great and it doesn't work out for your team, that's not a good sign. So S2, maybe tweak something if you want him to be a competitive hero.
Yeah, and plus, but I mean, we have to keep in mind that he was very promising early game. And so do we say that the problem is the hero, or can we zoom back from that a little bit and say, okay, is the transitions that he made and the choices that he made as far as building and how the game progressed, is that a little bit more of the problem as well? Because, you know, things can be balanced totally different at a high level of play versus the general population.
I completely agree with you. I mean, and the real question, I think, there is Codex. I mean, is Codex the right choice? Can you build Parasite to be a carry? Can you build him to be a support, maybe like a sheep stick or something? I don't know Parasite at all, honestly. I sound about as stupid as ever talking about Parasite, but I don't know what you can do with him or what's a viable option. But I do know that Codex is a gamble to win mid-game. That's pretty much what I think of Codex as.
I will say that if there's any other 1v1 mid-only, no power-up kind of players out there, Parasite is amazing. Amazing in that scenario. He's really fun to play, especially if you're playing at something like Ra, where when they use all their spells, you just jump into a creep and then talk smack. It's really fun to do.
This push top should be pretty much the end of the road, unless something crazy happens, and we'll see.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a very nice Magnus ult. You know, he goes right in there on the Wish Slayer. It didn't do quite as much damage as I was hoping for, and the Legion team is actually making a little bit of a comeback in this fight. Once that Corrupted Disciple Shrunken Heads runs off, we should see him take a ton of damage, though, and that is exactly what happens. We see him fall as soon as that happens. Zephyr's chilling basically near full life, even though they focused him really heavily in the beginning of the fight. Just not too much they can do to DPS him out. He's going to stay back. He's just going to kill the tower. He really wants to clinch this game. He really wants to seal it up, and so he can basically choose to ignore most of the fights for the rest of the game until he manages to kill these racks.
He's so beefy, he can just auto-attack that for the rest of the game, and there's nothing they can do about it. That's pretty much the way I feel. I mean, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but he is not gonna, I mean, he's not gonna get phased. And that's what, for you carries out there, which I hate all of you, you got distracted by another death as they desperately tried to defend there. But for you carries out there, that GPM is important, but you do have to keep an eye on your teammates.
Yeah, it's definitely a very thin balance to keep in mind, you know, especially those mid-level carry players that don't quite understand how to strike that balance between farm and saving people and when to push and when to gank, and all that stuff really comes together to make you just a phenomenal player.
Yeah, absolutely. And Yasuo's done a really good job as Zephyr in this game of doing that. In those early fights, and this is when it's critical, he was there. And you have to get there, you have to have a port. I mean, you gotta have a lot of regen to have some life because you're gonna be creeping in the forest, and Zephyr's good because of his whirlwinds and stuff. But bottom line is you have to get to those fights. You have to always be looking at the minimap, and now look at what he can do. I mean, he's getting pummeled by multiple people and doing just fine.
That's just kind of fun to watch, I have to say.
Yeah, he's not feeling a lot of damage, especially with all the mitigation. That Vanguard early, Helm of the Black Legion. Oh, he's greedy, Magnus.
Oh.
Feels the wrath of the greed, and a little bit of an embarrassment there as he types all sorts of letters which don't mean words.
And we do have the double puzzle box level 3 at this point, which is really letting them do just a ton of damage. You see those double level 3 maulers doing total work on the Corrupted Disciple. That's really fun to see at this point of the game.
Absolutely. And this game wrapped up probably about 5 minutes ago. The Legion still had some hope, but again, it's one of those deceiving things. Look at the score. It's 30-31. Just now, Hellborne has taken the lead. Oh, and they lost it. We've got an even score, 31-31. And for you noobs out there, that doesn't mean this game is close. This game's over. But that's deceptive. Again, I emphasize the point, we got gold per minute and experience per minute, and there's a 20,000 experience per game difference and a $27,000 gold difference. Gold dollars. Everything's gold. I talked to my girlfriend, I'm like, babe, I need to get more gold. I need to get more gold. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I mean, I need to go to the ATM. Sorry.
Gotta go farm the ATM. Oh, man. Alright. I'm gonna make a personal appeal to the Legion team here. Guys, I love you. I love each and every one of you. Game's over.
Game is over.
Just let it go. Let it go. We do see they're going to try to burn down Zephyr here, but we do have a Magnus ulting in from behind that's going to do a ton of damage to the Legion team. You just see all of their HPs drop as soon as he blinks in there. Perfect ultimate by Magnus there.
The courier air support. Where is the air support? And the courier lives with 26 hit points thanks to his skill. Good play by the courier using his defensive shield while going into battle. And that pretty much wraps it up. This is actually a really, really good game most of the time. This is a good example of trying to perceive where the game shifts. And I actually called this one pretty much spot on. Again, pat myself on the back for that. But it was an interesting game. Nice to see Parasite do what he did, and some interesting stuff.
Yeah, it was definitely great. It's really interesting. I like seeing kind of new play like that. It was a blast to cast. And any last thoughts before I sign off?
No, I already gave mine. That was a great game. Maybe we'll get a rubber match in another second. I'm not sure.
All right, sounds good. Well, until then, I'll see you guys next time.